Okay, so here we are in Dewey, 37 North Dewey, known as Roswell. And this is Tom Ropeleswki.
Ropeleswki.
Thank you.
Just don't pronounce the W.
From what year again? Just so we.
1977.
And major.
And I ran the Film Society from 77 to 78.
Okay, that's.
But was part of it from 73 on. So.
Okay, this guy's been around the block. Okay, so here's the deal as far as what's going on here. For whatever reason, the 35s are in order, starting with 1, but 1's been taken out. Okay, and goes 2 up, and then follows down the room this way, and then comes around back the other side. We'll do that. These are, I don't know how even to begin to describe the ordering. It's a mix between Orton Hicks films, the Classrooms films, not necessarily the features, again in order, with each row starting at the end going, and then,
right.
Okay? And we'll just do it quickly, because you're going to get burnt out looking, that's for sure.
Right. Well, this was our, I don't know who gave us their 35 collection. Actually, different people over the years gave us, Contempt. Contempt was a big one. Joseph E. Levine brought the film and previewed it here and hated it. Because if you see the film by Godard, he's parodied by Jack Palance plays a blowhard producer who's based on Joseph E. Levine, so Levine hated the movie. And he gave directions to Godard that Godard didn't take. He said, I want at least 10 minutes of nudity in this movie, so the movie begins with essentially a 10-minute shot of Bridget Bardot's ass, and then that's all the nudity, and it's not particularly sexy. She's laying in the bed, although she's incredibly sexy. So he hated the film. Barry Braverman, who's class of 76, had dinner with Levine and a bunch of students and Blair Watson after the screening. This must have been 73 because I wasn't here yet.
It's about right, yeah.
And he told them how much he liked Contempt, he loved the score, and Levine said, you like that piece of shit, you can have it. So that's why we have that print of Contempt.
And let me finish this up, because I was on the phone in this room with Bob Gitt, talking to him in California, and he was telling me the story too. And he said, well, yeah, he said, I said, the print's here, the one that we just looked at down here, right? And he said, oh, great. He says, well, take a look at it, because that's the one that doesn't have the Bardot's ass in it. And I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, look, actually, the Avco Embassy Joseph E. Levine release print, he removed that scene at the beginning, the 3 minutes of her laying in bed.
Wow.
And it just cuts from the camera pan, tracking shot, to the story.
Wow.
So he really did not like this film.
Right. And it's funny, maybe I've heard the story so much, I think I've seen it, but I'm not sure that I have. But I probably have, in current release of the film, if you get it on DVD, you probably
it's beautiful.
Get that.
No, it is, because I ran right out of here, went over to the Jones Media and pulled out the new Blu-ray, and it's there, and I went, whoa. I looked at this on Rewinds, it's cut out in the sense it was printed cut out.
Right,
so this is a unique print.
Right.
Let's go around the other side, because it's easier to kind of get into your territory, which I think is in this lane. Go down this lane.
You see a lot of these. I didn't belong to a film society, to a fraternity, nor did most of the guys from the film society, but this was our fraternity.
Right,
and we would come most evenings, or particularly Friday night, Saturday night, if we didn't have anything to do, and just pull out movies and just watch anything that was in here that we hadn't seen yet.
This is before even VHS tape.
There was no tapes, there was nothing. If you wanted to see a film, you had to argue for it in the Film Society and get it on a program. That's why I was walking through the Hopkins Center today and I was saying, Dartmouth Film Society, it's all these new films. I'm like, lazy. You gotta, if you want to really have a film society, you've got to show classic stuff. I mean, I think they do a little bit. They've got a 6-film political series going on now, but you really have to dig into this. People should see the lower defs, and they should see. Of
course they should. That's why they're here, aren't they?
Odette and their old dark house. They should see all this stuff.
Now, where you get some of your pictures you worked on, student films. For some reason, they got shoved in over in here. I think back in here is Hollywood. I think
Hollywood Story.
Although I haven't been here in a while, right? Yeah, to look.
Shape. Let's see what we have.
The number's 300 or 400 here. Sky Capped. And if it's not this, that'll be the next dial.
Would it be alphabetical order?
No, it's in some weird order related to the numbers.
Oh, okay.
Like here's Son of the Sheik next to Speaking Effectively.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah, let's see.
But if it's not this dial, it'll be the next dial, because I haven't been in here in a month or so it's a little. But the numbers are how it's organized. 474. So you see.
Oh, so why don't we look up the numbers and then we can go.
Yeah, well, let's go look at the book, which is crazy. There's a long history of what happened with the numbers, but if it's still here, which it is, there's 2 phone books. I think it might be this one. Ugh. Go ahead and open them up. I think that's the first. Is that the first one?
End.
No,
End to the
no.
end.
Work on this one. It'll be easier.
Okay, so.
It might be in some kind of order.
Yeah, this is
Alphabetically.
alphabetical. Okay,
yeah, but
so,
it stops at a certain point, so be careful.
Okay, let's start with Law
And I'll
of
look
the
in this one
Subway.
just in case. I mean, here's what I marked. Football begins, and then about 100 pages later, football ends.
Yeah.
National
And if you
Football.
want to
It's
find
going
a
to be in here.
Chandelou, it's actually un Chandelou, so you'd have a hard time finding it under L's.
Yeah, this
So-
is one of the things that needs major work on.
Let me see.
But I think
There should
this
be
is
a
an
very
offshoot.
Braverman movie here called Law of the Subway, which is hysterical.
Oh, Jesus.
And he made it as a student, but I don't see it here.
It's really hard to read these lists. I'm sorry.
Oh, see, let's see if we have Hollywood story.
Yeah, let's Hollywood stories
But it is
first.
a Hollywood
no.
story, so it could be under
Yeah, there's
A.
Let's go under HO first.
Holy Ghost people, no, it's not here. But you said you found it, right? You found
Oh
it
no,
as
I
something.
definitely found it. It's just I don't know how.
Maybe it's a Hollywood. No, it's not a Hollywood.
Because in
story.
here it goes on, there'll be a series of shorts and that changes to another group, and there's like Hitler's Germany next to Mr.
Yeah.
Kennedy and Mr. Khrushchev, Road to Berlin, like Rotterdam. Okay, go back to 4 pages and there would be a Hollywood story. Let me run over and look on the other side, because while you.
I mean, this is obviously not. I mean, Love at 20 it follows baboon behavior. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Oh, it's very crazy. God, I can't. Because in a way, all these films are just sitting here.
Yeah.
They're in order, but who knows what the order is. Somebody has been in here since I've been here, though. So, God only, maybe the library came in on my suggestion and pulled them. Is that possible? Let me see. And some are over here too, so it gets very confusing. What was the other title of yours that we talked about? Not The Lion, but there's another one.
You mean another film that?
Yeah, there was another yours that I found here.
What's it called?
Well, here's Platypus Duck. That's a friend
Tom
of yours.
Ruger. He's 76.
There's 2 prints of that.
Well, that was worth having 2 prints. A premiere.
Whoa! I looked at one. It was quite good.
Yeah, no, it's an animated film. Tom Ruger is presenting tomorrow at I think 1 or 2 a sort of history of his history or an overview of his career. He went to Hollywood based on this, worked for Hanna-Barbera, and then hooked up with Spielberg and created Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain and
Oh my goodness!
all these
Jesus.
great, really the next golden age of after-school animation.
Yeah.
And so he's class of '76.
It goes right in there. Since there's 2.
11 minutes. And Parker McDonald, one of his old friends, and one of my first roommates when I moved to LA, who was in the Dartmouth Airs, moved to LA to become a singer-songwriter, then realized when he was doing all the management for the band that he wasn't going to become the next James Taylor. Went back to business school and went to Ohio and became president of Bank One.
Oh Jesus! That's a
Because
big
his dad
jump up.
was a banker and he just had became a banker, but he's still a singer-songwriter and he did the score for this. So he does the theme song to Platypus Duck.
And this was his name again?
Parker McDonald.
Parker. Oh, right. It's on
known
the
as Speedy McDonald because his initials are RPM.
RPM. Well, that figures.
And so that's a great one. And that's an 11-minute animated film that
and here's a road. What about this film? Do you know this? Maybe this one.
Erogenous Jones. Who's
Yeah,
the
that's
filmmaker?
that is a great.
Mike Little? No.
It was a professor in the summer.
Yeah,
Mike Little,
and
it's
it
a
was a notorious. I've only seen it once when I was a freshman, so that's 40 odd years ago or more than that. Famous for its fearless nude scenes. Because it was 72 or 73.
Yeah.
And I remember it being a pretty fun little new wave-ish kind of movie, very influenced by Godard, as we all were in that era. And it was nicely shot, and I don't know whether the people involved in it are embarrassed by it or not. But
well, that's
but
what I wonder too.
cool.
I wanted to find them because the thing is, it is actually a really good film, and the print is in excellent shape.
Oh, great!
Yeah. So
We should run it.
Yeah. Well, we could run it. That's a possibility.
Because I'd be curious to see it. It's become a legend, but I haven't seen it. My memory of it is rather hazy at this point.
Oh, well, if we have time, I'll show it to you. How's
great.
that?
It's about, how long is it? 20 minutes?
It's a long one, actually.
20 minutes,
28,
yeah.
but it's good. But it is a good movie, though.
Yeah. No, I'd be curious to see it.
It builds up. But yours is bumming me out now because
Straight Until Morning would be the one that.
This is an odd set of films that were stuck in later here and here, but these are all the Columbia titles that I think all came from David Picker.
Probably.
Is my guess. That's the story. We don't have it confirmed. But yeah, these are. Look at these. I mean, they're just the titles are amazing.
Yeah.
It's 70s, 80s. There's Wax Picture Show.
Hot stuff. I think that's like George Siegel or something.
Yep. Exactly. Isn't that great?
Okay, Straight Until Morning. So we can't find Straight Until Morning. That was my film that Arthur and Lily Mayer, who taught film here in the 70s.
He was online the other day.
No, online? What do you mean?
Well, he wasn't, but I'm going to interrupt there. I'm sorry, but it's incredible. Jim McBride made a big piece about the John Huston film Let There Be Light. It ends up Arthur Mayer was one of the people that tried very hard to get the U.S. government to release it because it was a censored film.
Makes perfect sense. He, during World War II, was involved with, because of his Hollywood connection, was involved with getting Prince to the boys to watch as entertainment overseas. And he... after the war, smuggled Rossellini's Rome Open City back to the States.
That was one of his calling cards.
One of his calling cards in a diplomatic pouch. So Arthur had amazing stories. Arthur taught history of film when I was at Dartmouth.
Oh, you still had that experience. Oh, good.
And I was a TA for him for years until he didn't, I don't know if he ever retired because he died at 95 or something.
I think he wrote into the cinematic sunset.
Yeah, he sure did. And he taught here, I think, almost every year. I was a TA for him when he was 91, 92, 93.
You know, David Thompson told me a funny story because he was a TA too.
Yes, yeah.
And he said that, I don't know if, I can't remember the wife's name. He says, I don't remember, Lily, if they actually ever had a home anywhere.
They had an apartment in New York.
The apartments, but not. They kept moving. They were
probably in the Hollywood days he did, but that was probably in the 30s, 40s, 50s. But they were amazing characters, very fun-loving, life-loving. He would tell, it was a history of film from silence up until through Citizen Kane and neorealism, and I don't know how hard. I think he didn't really get into the new wave and stuff. That was sort of the new school of stuff, and he let younger teachers teach that. But it would all be anecdotes, and sometimes they were personal anecdotes. He'd met these people or known these people, and he was Mae West's publicity agent. But in my last year...
He had lots of photos, too, didn't he?
Well, he wrote a book called The Movies, and it's filled with... I'm sure there is a lot of photos with him. And the book is filled with a lot of photos of him with different people.
I've turned up a whole bunch where they're signed, like from John Huston.
Yeah,
signed
I'm sure that's true.
Blah, blah, blah,
and I think a lot of them ended up in that book. But he gave me, I think, $1,200 to make Straight Until Morning. It was a grant you could apply for, and other people applied to, but I got.
Well, this was the famous long-running Louis B. Mayer grant, right? Was that,
no,
was that it, or was that something else?
Arthur and Lily grant. This was their own
this
grant.
another. Oh, their own grant. Oh,
their own grant.
Oh, wow.
Which I think lasted a couple of years.
Because I've talked to a lot of people that got the Louis Mayer one. That went into the 80s or even early 90s. It really stretched for a good period of time. Yeah.
But that was great.
Let me get on the book or the computer and see if I can find your films. Okay. I just have to focus for a second.
Yeah, sure.
While you pick around. I still think the one is back in here, unless I screwed up.
Hollywood String might be back here.
Well, I know it is. Here it is, right here. Duh, I had the wrong one. Okay, here we go.
Is it filed under A Hollywood Story? Or
well, it's in the right place. I mean, H.
Oh, it's not the it's not the Hollywood Story. It's a Hollywood story. Okay, we should look at that too. Actually, I should get some. It's got producer. I think John Pruitt directed it. God, it would be fun. It would be fun to. Can we get some of my reunion guys that are in it to watch it this weekend? Are you free? Can we screen this?
That would be positive.
Nora Odendahl's in it. Ruger's in it.
The dilemma is that this is like. It's called Roswell because nobody knows, so the people that are protecting it are really precious, and I don't think there's any way on this short notice we could do that, because Andrew's the person.
Splice in green, would be so great. Anyway, That would be nice to do.
Oh, that's a shame. They're actually here.
A lot of us are. I bet 5 of us, and
It's so funny because there's a projector right there.
Jennifer Lee Warren, who became a singer on Broadway, is in it. Ruger was involved with it. Barry Braveman, who's not here, was the cameraman.
Barry's not here, right?
And Tom Ames was the cameraman for some of it.
Is there any way within the next 2 hours we could pull it together?
Let's see. Yeah.
And get them over here, because I could show it right on the wall right there. And that would be easy. Once they close at 5, though, it's locked the
Okay,
door.
let me.
And let me look while you're doing that, okay?
Okay.
Okay. That sounds like a treasure trove, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
So when you were here, were they upstairs in Fairbanks then at that point?
No, they were downstairs.
They were down in the basement. It's a similar kind of situation, right?
It's exactly the same. It looks like the same racks and everything.
It's probably.
And there was a projectionist. I can't remember who the original projectionist is. He was a laconic guy. He was bald.
Jerry
blonde.
Cate.
Jerry Cate.
Yeah.
Who was great. Great guy. I learned how to project from him.
Yeah, he was a wonderful fellow.
Is he still around or no?
No, he died about 3 years ago. And then about several days later, his brother died.
Oh no.
Like a sympathetic.
Oh gee.
Yeah.
Well, he taught me how to project 35, and which most of us learned how to.
I was gonna say, really easy, right?
Yeah.
They make such a big deal out of it now. It's really,
it's not
very
that
simple.
Right.
Doing it fine is one thing, but loading the projector and making it run easier than 16.
No, it's not. Well, you got very used to looking at the almost subliminal dot in the at
your
the end
mind.
of the rain.
Oh yeah.
Because you had to be the one to do the real switch.
Yeah.
And now I can almost see frames. So
yeah.
Which is not actually, it can drive you crazy.
But it's true. You can't. Physiologically, you actually can see frames.
You can. Yeah.
It's not a fantasy.
And the flicker between them. If you had a guy with the history of the film, you had Maury doing basically screenwriting. From the point of view of an embittered blacklisted screenwriter.
Right.
And you had one guy teaching very avant-garde, Stan Brakhage and Bruce Bailey and all those guys. So it was a very spotty film education. I was introduced to film at Dartmouth by Alan Gaylord, who was in the English department, or maybe Comp Lit, who taught film criticism. And I, as a freshman, had a class to fill, and it was a upperclassman course. But I went to see him, and I said, "I'd really love to take your course." And he just got a good feeling about me. And I said, "I've been writing about film. I write for my local newspaper." And he let me in, and that was my gateway drug, because he was great. And as a matter of fact, he's in Straight On Till Morning as a cop, as the father figure who disappears.
Well, that's good to know, because he's passed, I think.
Oh, he has?
I think, he went down to Princeton area a few years back.
Oh, that could be.
That's the word. It's not 100%.
He wasn't that old. I mean, he was older than, obviously. He was
around he was here until a couple years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was and I remember in my probably sophomore year, there was a movement to create a film major, and there were a number of faculty members that wrote to the president of the school and said, we would rather see a Latin major reinstated because movies are a hobby.
Still?
It's not really. This was in the mid-'70s.
Jesus.
They just said, no, that should not. I mean, we barely tolerated being taught, as an elective, let alone, a real, something that you take seriously. But obviously they were ultimately proven wrong. So during my years, I was an English major, and I sort of accumulated a film minor by taking every single film course that was ever offered.
You could.
But the Film Society was really the education, because we'd have filmmakers, we'd have alumni come with films. Of course, we'd have filmmakers come with their films.
And this was basically, if you were the director, it was you and Blair and Murray, really?
Exactly.
I mean, that was really the
there was one,
how did Ray interact? I hate to interrupt, but how did Ray interact with them in that way?
Well, Ray was sort of the young dilettante, because Ray was
married?
teaching,
was he married then?
He wasn't married then.
Because he eventually married Tracy Farrell, I think.
Right. He was catting around a good bit, I think.
Well, he's a young guy, right?
He was a young guy,
It's like our movie.
Yeah, and he was, Romulus
Jones.
Right, but he, so he came at it from a different, very hands-on, work, do-it-yourself, Super 8, and he was into early like semiotics, like looking at a scene from Seven Samurai and counting the frames of each cut, which is ridiculous, but it was just he was interested in
That's
that.
what he did, right?
That's what he did. How many frames is this? But they were all so. Oh, hang on. It's Nora.
Oh, good. Alone, it's one experience, but then
Right.
having, the victims, perpetrators,
Perpetrators.
to listen to, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, that was a lot of fun.
Well, it had better pace than I was expecting. It looks better than I was expecting.
It's really well edited.
Yeah.
Well, it's really well made. It's a fun film.
I mean,
And it was made for an audience,
I know, but
to see.
It was made for our friends, basically.
Well,
Yeah.
also,
But
it's just as
it was
funny.
an affectionate, tribute to all the films we've been watching.
Right.
Too.
The glut we were going through.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a great time capsule. I mean, I was like, I'm laughing because I see it like as a home movie. I see a lot of the student-made
Yeah,
films, so it's
yeah.
like this big home movie on
Right.
one end. But we watched one before you came in where it was all about getting laid,
Well, James Jones, yeah.
Basically.
72 or so. It was 72?
but with a lot of hubris, of,
Yeah,
intellectual and
New wave pretension.
Yeah, right. But
This was not pretentious. I
No,
don't
it
think.
wasn't.
no, it was good fun. It was good
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so everybody is still around. It sounds like, except for the one missing
Except for,
person.
Rob Reason, who's not in the movie, but who I guess he and I concocted the story and then got John, who rewrote it all as a screenplay, and then John directed it. But Rob Reason was one of the funniest guys in the film society, and just disappeared after school.
I'm still not sure if that person I found on Facebook is him or not.
Well, the photo that you showed looked exactly like him, but looked like him when he was when we were at school.
But people might do that.
Yeah. It looked like.
No, I
it was
somebody in my
definitely
high school class like that. They just
Yeah.
disappeared.
I
And
know, but it said he came from Boston, and he did come. I mean,
He
I
did
looked
come
in the
from
freshman
Boston, yeah.
book, and he came from Boston.
But it's funny, he's never. People have tried to get a hold of him. If that's him, he's never responded back. So we don't know what the deal is.
Maybe
Right.
Someday people don't look at Facebook all that much.
Everybody has odd stories
Right,
that
right,
follow.
right.
But I'm shocked to see both of you in person.
Ah!
I mean, I talked to Tom for a long time on the phone, and
Yeah.
that's why I asked him. I said, we might as well meet when you come up sometime because this is much more interesting than
Yeah.
the blah,
I'm
blah,
finding
on the
this
phone.
in the vaults here, and it should be preserved as a time
It
capsule
should.
of its moment, and it's got King Vidor in it.
Yeah.
Well, it was such a pleasure. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Well, you all have a big
And
couple days. I say not weekend. It's over by Friday.
It's over by
Saturday.
Sunday.
Sunday.
Oh, it is.
Sunday
Yeah. Well,
morning.
yeah. You'll.
It's
yeah.
a whole weekend.
You get wined and dined and feted and dragged around in circles.
Yeah.
But this is the high point already because
Well, it's a good start.
Yeah.
no, because my husband David has never seen it. So.
Have you been here before to
And-
the campus?
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But see, we didn't meet
But
till I was 44, so he didn't know me back then.
Yeah.
So.
God, you guys should get together and make a redux.
Oh yeah, you do the.
Oh my God. Wow.
Well, Tom.
What happened after the other world?
Right. Well,
the
Tom Ropeleswki, who
netherworld.
played my assistant,
Well, he's here too.
today. He was class
Tom
76.
Ames lives nearby.
Tom Ames lives nearby. We're having brunch with him on Sunday.
Yeah.
If you guys are up for that.
You know, when I was editing this morning, I was listening to people. Two different alumni came into Jones asking for they'd set up to get a projector and a screen and stuff to show stuff during the weekend. So we can
To
come
show
back
film,
sometime.
actually show
Well,
actual
whatever. I
film.
don't know what they were doing, but it hit me as like, oh yeah, of course grads can use the library totally. So why not? Yeah. So they were borrowing stuff for the weekend.
And you said Seal is still around.
She's in Florida.
She's in Florida,
Yeah,
so
yeah. She's in the process of boxing up a trunk of Arthur Mayer's pictures that when they cleaned out Fairbanks, they threw away into a dumpster, but she pulled them out.
Oh, I'm glad she did.
And I'm sure there's signed autographs of Gable and whatever.
According
you know.
she sat a couple weeks ago and made a list. I think it's about 300 items, but
Wow.
quickly, but nonetheless autographed by John Huston. It says to Arthur, 2 copies.
Well, there was a lot of crap in that building. There was a fire hazard, really. So,
Yeah. Well, the offshoot of this right now, I got I don't know if you told you, I'm somehow retiring, but I don't work here, right?
Congratulations.
But I realized I'd never dealt with this, so I just offered to the provost. I said, "Well, do you mind if I'll do a study for you or something, right?" And they said, "Sure, go ahead." Well, I go running around, and this was supposedly it. I found 1,000 football films up in the attic of North Fairbanks that have been sitting there ever since they moved all these out. They
That
just
was
left
all
them.
shot by Blair and edited, or sort of
Barry, yeah.
Barry put it together. I mean, because it was all, they're almost useless because they're up from the stands following the football game.
Oh yeah.
And trying to watch a football game,
Yeah,
he was shooting everything he could. It's like
One camera.
with one camera up in the top of the stands. So,
Yeah.
but Barry sort of made that did highlight reels.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So years back, when they moved everything, they left them for some reason. And then about 10 years ago, they started going through this pile, and they basically pulled most, but not all, as you've just seen, Dartmouth-centric films. But they've missed these. There's a lot of the narrative feature films have some missed.
Yeah. But there's things like, Contempt is here, and Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum Hard Base, like things we would pull out all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, what you actually own them?
Yeah.
Whatever's here is,
In the 60s.
whatever you want to say, is owned by the college.
when we were, this was sort of our fraternity, and so at least on Friday nights, sometimes if we didn't have anything else, we'd come up here and just pull things out of the racks and show whatever we wanted to see. And
Pretty much like what we just did.
Yeah. Now, looking through the rolls of 16, Nora, I felt like I'd seen everything there.
Well, maybe.
Yeah,
Like Turner Classic
We
Movies.
probably showed them, in the film
Dartmouth
series.
classic
We sure did.
movies.
Because it was easy to run our own stuff.
Right, you're right. The other stuff we had to order from Janice.
Right.
Or wherever.
Yeah.
And
God,
we
you
had a budget.
remember all this stuff. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were, particularly in the year when Ruger ran it and then when I ran it, you were interacting with these film distribution companies, Films Inc. and Cinema 5, and we'd be calling them up and making deals saying, well, if we take these 3 films, can we get a deal as opposed to getting 1 film? And it was all, we had a budget, and we had to negotiate to
Right. I mean, we
get
sold
stuff.
tickets, but at a very low cost.
Yeah, it was, it was
It's
very
like
low
$10
price.
for the season.
$10 for 25 movies.
I mean, but that was true of all the arts things at Dartmouth. Were so reasonable. I mean, I went to everything at hardly cost.
And I remember by 76, 77, the Film Society membership was higher than the student population of the school. It was because people in the community
that's
were
incredible.
We saw J.D. Salinger. Somebody pointed out to me J.D. Salinger.
Yeah. We had seen him. He used to come to the screwball comedies from the 30s. He liked that.
Oh, yeah.
And Blair would talk to him, but we were told not to say anything.
But it was just like somebody's...
He looked like Lurch. He was big and
He
tall.
was, and I think he had kind of white hair. Well, he was gray or white, I guess.
Yeah, but he was very tall and thin.
I remember that.
Yeah.
He kind of shambled around.
Yeah.
That's so funny, because while doing this, everyone's told me stories.
Yeah.
And one day I got finished doing an interview with someone. I can't remember who it was. There was one of the administration, something or other. And I walked out the door and the phone rang, and it was his widow.
Oh.
She'd caught wind of what I was up to. And what's going on? She wanted to find out. She thought it was, somehow it was about JD, right?
Right.
And then we started talking, and then what it was somebody told me the story. Bob Gitt told me the stories about him.
Him coming, yeah.
Yeah, because he spent a lot of time with him. Because he'd come up to literally borrow films. That was the
I'm
whole.
sure he did.
This was one of the keys, not only the Film Society, but it was to borrow stuff. And vice versa. He, for many years, this is up before the 70s and throughout the 60s, he would trade films back and forth. So anyway, this phone call, I'm going, oh my God.
Right.
And she told me all this stuff. She goes, but of course it's under the proviso, we're still keeping his silence.
Right. Well,
I was like, okay,
it's
sure.
not like we can say. I mean, they can't keep us quiet about saying we saw it.
We saw it, right? Yeah, no.
Apparently, he did leave the house occasionally. So
He didn't say anything revealing.
It is either Bob or Steele told me the stories. There was one day he was up in North Fairbanks in one of these little fetes because he knew how to. He felt safe there. For some reason, he felt safe.
I think we saw him there too sometimes.
But somebody came in. If somebody would come in, he didn't know or would say something because everybody knew not, like you said, not to say anything, right?
Yeah.
He literally just turned around and opened like one of those doors that you showed me, and just walked in the room.
One of these tiny rooms, yeah. Yeah, that was that hallway where there was a projection room and there's
And a couple minutes later, that he came out and he was fine again. But
he just needed to,
needed his space. God. So yeah, it's this great thing. So what's happening is I mean, this is here, but it's like a mystery. It's like it doesn't exist on the books. It's just here. Well, that's the good news. That's why it survived. And about 10 years ago, the library started getting interested and started pulling stuff out to actually really archive them. So they're stored in a place up in Maine in cold storage, and they've been digitized, and they're slowly being put online.
They'll digitize.
And, right. But they still
one
have
of
to
the
deal
things
with
we were
this.
talking about earlier is that there is a theory now that your response to watching a film and the flickering of frames per second is different than your response to watching digital.
I believe it.
Yeah, I could believe that. I mean,
You know,
it feels different.
So watching these will be different than watching the same thing on video, even on the same size screen.
It also almost has to be, because the persistence of vision is an artifact of your brain.
Right.
It's not real. So,
Right.
Somehow your brain is synchronized.
Yeah, we're almost done too.
Just close the door.
And I'll lock the other one.
That's some kind of
Okay, thank you. Andrew, this was great.
Yeah.
It was a good,
So all this stuff, there is a reason to keep it, because that experience is different than any other experience you'll have. And I was just walking down the aisle. You can teach, a pretty good comprehensive history of film course from these rows of film.
Which was the whole reason
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
here.
I learned so
I mean,
much.
people look at different stuff now, but this is still a remnant of
But they will come back to looking at Scarface and Hitchcock and
Hollywood
Godard.
story.
And they won't be watching this thing. But
we just didn't realize
See, I
it,
disagree. I think
but
they
we
will,
were
yeah.
here during the golden age of movies. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't realize how rich, how unusually rich that the 70s, that era, that
This
early.
this
Oh, it was
place
great.
in particular
Oh,
has
wow.
always been extremely rich. It's weird being out in the middle of nowhere that it happens to have this Hollywood. Well, not even Hollywood, just a
connection,
film,
but,
a film-centric.
Well, that's
Cool.
one of the big reasons I came here, because
Really?
in high school, I had an English teacher who every spring break, a little group of us, he was in charge, but we made a film each time, and it got progressively more ambitious throughout my 3 years of high school. It was a small Quaker school. Charlie Fisher, I mean, he was a wonderful teacher, and he also brought in films and taught us some film history kind of informally, but we made films and learned how to edit them and all that, and that's why I was particularly interested in Dartmouth, because it had a film society.
right.
Interesting. That's so amazing. And then he has a film has Henry King in it, or King Vito.
yeah, King Vito,
it's just,
yeah.
or Henry King was here too. But yeah,
I'm sure.
But
Yeah.
King,
And
just
Nicholas Ray was here, and we had a lot of
Martin
great.
Sheen, I remember visiting.
I remember Martin Sheen came with Badlands because no one
Oh,
was
my
watching it. The film had
goodness.
been panned by critics.
Wow.
And I remember seeing it in the small theater in Fairbanks and being blown away. And him
That's
getting up and making the argument that it was a crime film, like Young Godfather or something. And I said, no, it's not what it's about. It's, it's about a sociopath brought up on media who wants to be James Dean. And I just went on, and he said, I want to talk to you. So I talked to Martin Sheen afterwards. But you got to have an intimate experience with filmmakers bringing their stuff here.
And historians. I mean,
And
that's how we got to see the Hitchcock. I mean, I remember that so vividly, because they were all tied up in
There were 5 of the Hitchcock
copyright disputes, so you just couldn't see them.
Rear Window, Vertigo,
that's right.
yeah.
Yep,
Trouble
yep,
with
yep,
Harry.
Yep,
At
yep,
that
yep.
time, I mean, you couldn't see them anywhere, not on TV, not
Yeah.
anywhere. So this guy from the AFI, what's his name, Bruce? No, something. Anyway, he brought them up here for 2 days, and we just sat and watched Hitchcock films for 2 days straight.
Glorious colored Hitchcock films.
And is it
Yes.
in Spalding or in Fairbanks?
No,
No,
and
it's in
no,
Fairbanks.
it was.
It's
I
in
thought
Fairbanks.
it was in Fairbanks. I thought it might have been on the big screen in
I think
at
it
the
was in
Hop.
Fairbanks because he didn't want to be too
Yes, you're right.
indiscreet about
You're right. It
it.
was
I
in
remember
Fairbanks.
it.
You're right.
Yeah,
And one of those guys ended up living up here, Hayes, that wrote Trouble with Harry, and
Oh, really?
yeah, because that's how I saw a really nice print, because he told these incredible stories of Hitch filming up here.
Uh-huh.
And there was some town hall that they filmed something in that he yelled. He was up on the crane dolly in the inside of a New England type town hall building. It was a gym, I think, or well, whatever it was. You get the idea, right? But he was on a crane dolly. He yelled "cut," showed the plane, walked off the set, and the moment that happened, and he'd stepped off the crane. The minute that happened, the crane, the floor caved in, and the whole thing fell.
Wow. Whoa. Do you remember when Dusan Makaveyev was here?
Oh my
Sweet
goodness!
movie. And WR, he showed WR.
Oh,
He
I
was a
don't
character.
remember
Oh, I worked with him for 3 years.
Oh, you did? He
Yeah,
was
he was-
hitting on
he's-
every co-ed. I'm sure.
Yeah.
You might have remembered it. Or you might have been off.
Yeah, did you know him? Did you know him?
Well, I did music for today, so I was aware. Like,
Yeah, you might have been gone that
Oh, you'd
semester.
remember if you know him.
Yeah. But we had a lot of good filmmakers coming
Yeah.
out.
Dusha Makave. Really? That's
Yeah.
funny. I worked at Harvard for 5 years, and my one, I forget which one's which, but my boss was Vlada Petrich, and Duchamp was his pal, so he was there all the time. But they were, one was a Serb, one was a Croat, so they were always fighting on just that level, let alone their personalities. So
yeah.
it was hilarious.
And Bob Rafelson was, of course, a Dartmouth grad, so or alumni. So he brought he brought King of Marvin Gardens. It was probably our freshman spring.
no, maybe.
Yeah.
But it was
That's a
great.
great
I mean, that
film.
was where we picked our film education because
Oh,
we, it was
absolutely.
in these vaults and also from these people that would come because there was very few film courses really.
There was, I mean, but they weren't like film courses. Like one of them was, Italian cinema was taught by an art professor, Frank
Right.
Robinson. That was a very good course.
Yeah, that was
And then some other English professors taught.
Alan
film
Gaylor
courses.
taught film
Yeah.
criticism,
So,
and some comp lit people did.
yeah.
I remember seeing. I don't know what, but there was some connection between comp lit and
Yeah, and
that early '60s Italian
one
literature.
drama teacher did it. I can't remember, but yeah. I mean, so there were some courses, but most of what we learned was from here, from
Exactly.
the Film Society, and from
Yeah.
our
From watching
series.
films,
Well,
right?
and
From watching
writing
films.
those notes that probably nobody ever read, but except one person once. But
I think they did. I think they did read them.
Well, I told you, I once got back in an envelope, an interoffice envelope, some notes that I'd written on a film. I know I still have this at home. Some copious notes I'd written on some rather pretentious notes I'd written on film, and there were all these corrections on it. And at the end, it said some of the best notes from this series, and it was Walter Arndt, who was a professor.
Huh.
I mean, I didn't even know him or anything like that, but it was from his office.
Wow.
So, I mean, obviously.
And we were writing these things,
You know,
often because we had a class kid,
Yeah.
but you'd get caught up writing these things, and it would
Yeah.
be you'd have to get them to the printer by
But we
a
did
certain
research,
hour, and we did
yeah.
research, and we really
I
tried
mean, that's
to
how we-
try to set a context for the movie for the student viewer who may not know anything about these filmmakers.
I'm
Yeah.
curious, were you
That is
aware of other film societies at other universities? You didn't have any
Well
interactions,
developed.
or so there was no.
There was no interaction.
I mean, no other school that I applied to had anything quite like this.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying it was not that you didn't interact with them, it's that you're fairly unique. You're saying here.
I think it was. I mean, there may be some places, maybe like Columbia or something might have, maybe some big city place might have.
But we didn't
No.
have anything. I mean, although it might have been good to know
Yeah.
if some college was getting filmmaker A, that if he was
Yeah.
on the tour, we could get that.
Oh,
But we
absolutely,
never
yeah.
did that. I don't think.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't remember. Because also we were the oldest film society in America, so
Okay.
we were kind of the ones that people might look to.
I see.
I don't know. I just felt I had that sense
Right,
that
right.
Yeah,
we were just an island
When you
to.
came to our 50th.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I missed that.
Oh,
That
and
would've
John
been-
did too. I can't believe that.
Yeah, he should have been there too. But
Yeah,
it was,
very odd. Yeah.
that was, and then, I actually felt like I would, after I left it, I would try Hollywood just because I was full of myself.
Well, how else can you?
That's the only way you can go
You
there, isn't
needed
it?
this sort of naivete and
Well, somebody,
Great.
somebody has to try, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, I actually felt one of the main things I remember from that 50th anniversary celebration that we had was they also showed a few little films made by undergrads. And there was this one, it was it was a claymation film that had been obviously been painstakingly made. It was so charming, so good. And then, the students stood up and said, well, I'm headed off to, be a lawyer. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, but that was what liberal arts education was. is that
Yeah.
People weren't always.
Yeah.
This is not a trade
I mean, he was
school,
really
so-
talented. But,
Yeah.
No, but I've always hoped that maybe he got back to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually funny in our gang of like 76, 77, or 74 to 78, say,
Yeah.
that a good handful went off to be involved in the arts or be involved in film, but not that many. I mean,
I mean, it's still a fair amount.
it is
I
a
think,
fair amount.
I mean,
Well, that's one of the charms of the place. I mean, still to this day,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a film studies official, but nonetheless, it's still a general education.
But
I mean, people do, like you say, you go to the student films, you see, they're sitting there, whoa, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to the Harvard Business School for
Yeah.
something, there's nothing to
It's more than, if you think about it, okay, so John taught, not necessarily going to Hollywood, but
No, but
and Ty Burr, I think,
Is an editor
at the Boston Globe.
Boston Globe, and he used to be maybe he's still at the Entertainment Weekly
I think
too.
there's another Sarah.
That was the past.
Sarah somebody.
Ty, yeah.
Ty,
also.
he came up to talk at the library for us a couple of years
See, I
ago.
remember him vaguely.
He was
but
funny. Were you here during the Animal House premiere?
Yes.
showing?
Oh yeah.
Because he told a story that I'd never heard before when he came up about that night when they showed at the Nugget, I guess. And then they carried Chris, I guess, up the street
Yeah.
on the shoulders. I was like, Jesus, that's so Hanover.
Oh, that was. I mean, that people loved. They loved that film.
Of
so.
course. I mean, yeah. That just cracked me up.
I don't
It was
remember
like-
that story. I remember,
Well, that's the one he told. And
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. Okay.
but I remember him well because he was when I was running the Film Society, he was one of the key kids.
Right, he was the year after.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And then Chris Millet-Andry was that year too. He now runs Illumination Studios, which is Despicable Me and all those movies. He's
Wow.
a big animation guy in Hollywood.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And there might have been someone else from that.
but there's
Yeah, they every time they do something, they do premiere here first.
Uh-huh.
So
The
they-
Illumination guys?
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
been great. I mean,
Yeah.
they've kept that loop. open.
Tom didn't go to movies, but he was a professional photographer for a long time.
Yeah,
so
sure.
counts.
God, you should pull these people together before they.
Yeah, and Buck Henry's still around, I guess, but not
We
doing
need
well.
another Film Society mini reunion.
Well, you need to
maybe
the
a bigger
things-
one. A bigger one.
Yeah,
I think that would be good. They when doing that thing 10 years ago when they started in here, one of the things they did find was this movie that he's in, Buck Henry. Have you seen this?
Which one?
From like 55 or 53
Wow.
or whatever.
Well, yeah,
It's
he was
called.
class of
It's like an
52.
instructional film, like Welcome to Dartmouth.
Oh, really?
But it's a parody, and it's very funny. I
Uh-huh.
mean, it is just off the charts. Yeah. I forget what his real name is, but it has his real name.
Oh.
It's before Buck Henry.
Oh, that's funny. That's great.
Yeah. It's online, I think. I think it's one of the ones
Okay.
you can. I'll give you the link, and you can
Okay.
find it. But it's humorous too.
But yeah, it would be. Well, the thing is, it's not really Film Society anymore. It hasn't been for a long time, in the sense that we programmed classic, not even classics. They would run the gamut, but it wasn't new. It wasn't. If we had a new film, it was a special event. Now I went through the hop, and there was Film Society. It's a Dartmouth Film Society, and it was 3 current movies. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
see, that's not what you do. So, but I guess they're also doing a political film mini series of 6 films. So.
Well,
But we were doing
good.
30 films.
Yeah.
You didn't do current movies at all then?
No.
Yeah.
We couldn't
how did
afford
you-
them.
We couldn't afford it, and they were
Couldn't
shown.
afford 'em.
That's true.
Yeah.
They were not
At
That's
MIT,
great.
From 69, 73, when I was there, the lecture series committee, LSC, was what you guys were, except
Oh, yeah,
on a much
yeah.
smaller scale. You know?
I know of it. I know somebody ran it one year.
So, I mean, they had a very
Long
simple
time.
scheme. Friday nights, they showed current movies, they
Uh-huh.
made their money, and then Saturday night, they showed something they wanted to show. So it was,
You know, we tried to do a gamut so that you would hook them in with films that they knew,
yeah.
and then show them very obscure stuff that they would
Yeah.
love if they went
Right,
to see it.
yeah.
But really, we as film students, why do I want to see something that I just saw in a movie theater? We wanted
Yeah.
to see
Oh, I
the
understand.
hardcore stuff that we
I
couldn't
understand.
see.
No, this was strictly to pay for the stuff they wanted to do.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they were self-supporting. I don't think they had an office from the university.
We were self-supporting too,
Yeah. So how did you make your money?
by subscriptions.
subscriptions.
Oh.
They were single
And having a
Okay,
budget,
I mean,
yeah.
with that
Yeah.
large.
Right, when it had to be
Gotcha.
huge.
Okay.
But it's
yeah.
great because it meant, we always had a theme for each season, each quarter, it's through the quarter system. So we had a
Yeah.
theme, so we could actually explore something in depth.
Yeah,
through a series
yeah,
of
that's
films.
Yeah.
a little.
It wasn't
more.
just like any old.
I remember one of the ones we did was called Masterpiece Avalanche. and it was everything. It was like it was Gone with the Wind. It was like best film of every category you could possibly think of, even if you had to make up a category. Doctor Strangelove, best political satire. But it was every film was a jaw-droppingly great movie. But they weren't necessarily expensive films to rent because they were a lot of them. King Kong was you could rent for $60 or something.
Or it was right here on the shelf as
Or
we
it's
saw.
right on the shelf. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So you wanted to do so that could pay for your Hitchcock Truffaut series or things like that. So,
Yeah, Bob,
Ozu and Wells,
Right.
whatever.
well, we would have, I forget what all we did, but like, urban cinema, we did a whole neo-realist.
We did.
Series
We
on
did
that.
one about children in films, which was
yeah.
mainly mainly foreign films.
Oh, wonderful.
Although you could do Chapel as a
Children's
kid. And,
Paradise. Oh, yeah, that's a
yeah,
good thing.
I mean, but it was, we did great films.
Yeah.
Really good.
And the oversight was
He's lucky.
how much, if any?
The what?
Oversight.
Well, Blair was always.
Because you're Blair or
meetings.
Maury
Blair
or
was
that was
always-
it, right?
Blair's pretty.
Yeah.
They weren't really. They were there to help us if we needed it, but they didn't really interfere.
No, I mean, but we weren't proposing anything really terrible or
Right.
outrageous either, so,
If there's a difference now, that's probably the shift that happened over a good period of time. We're talking like 30 years, and then now it's in a tailspin because of just the way everything's organized. But yeah, it shifted from being what you've described
Right.
to being heavily curated. Maybe is a good way to put it. 'Cause
Right.
the Bill Pence.
Well, then
regime,
Bill
which
Pence was like
which
he was like
good,
full-time.
right? But his hand was over
Yeah.
it, and
It was
then
a lot different during our years.
and then about 10 years ago, he just sort of lost interest. And he was
Uh-huh.
here, but he did his job, and he did a great job. But the interest got lost, and in that process, the student part just collapsed.
oh,
Yeah.
that's too bad.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah.
that's why people were so interested, because they actually knew they could make a difference. They could come to one of our meetings and say, "Oh, could you show blah 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 blah,"
Yeah.
or help choose. I mean, anybody could be in it. Anybody could be part of it.
If you
That's what
showed
it
up for
was.
the
They even
meetings.
had, even the townies were part of it. At
Well,
least up until
in terms of
recently.
going to
There were a certain
Right.
group.
But they
you know.
were, but they weren't part of the core that were the decision.
No, because you're the
makers.
students, right?
That was
yeah.
all students.
Right.
But I mean, there was no bar to entry if you were actually interested.
Exactly. That's how it was till about
But I know
literally
you
a
had
year
a
ago.
passion. Italian Eel was the most one thing that you were always
Oh, I love that.
finding a way to get some in classic school comedy and things like that. And I was always trying to find a way to get the Wild Bunch or Godard or
Yes.
I'm not involved, I mean, Tom will tell you the story later. I'm like this outside person, just lives here in the community. But what I've never understood, because I do spend a lot of time here, is why the students aren't being engaged on a social level like this. Because this is a social thing too. It was
It
a
was our
passion, but it
fraternity.
was a...
Absolutely.
But that is definitely, and I see it on campus for all these other things, but not this. And it's
No.
weird because this is perfect.
It is
Everybody loves
perfect.
movies still. Yeah.
Are you sure that it doesn't exist somewhere?
Yeah.
What a shame.
99%
How could you not have a social
Wow, they don't do
dynamic
it.
that is
Oh,
around
boy.
film?
Because of just times
Well,
are
everyone's
changing
watching
in
it
some
on their
respects.
on
Yeah.
Netflix and their computers.
Right, that's part of it
It's
too.
not
All
a
that stuff's
social
part of
thing
it.
the way it was, but
Yeah.
it could be. I mean, there's nothing to stop them from
No.
getting it.
But I remember, for example, when we did Masterpiece Avalanche and we showed Psycho, and a lot of us had heard of it, because this was in the mid-70s, had heard of it but hadn't seen it.
It was a film that was
And we
upsetting.
showed it, and we packed Spalding Auditorium,
Yeah.
and during the shower scene, people screamed as if it were Alien, which hadn't happened yet, or Exorcist, which hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And people just, it blew their minds to be in a communal experience, to feel what it must have felt like when people saw it for the first time.
Yeah, no, that's the strength of that film. Is it?
Yeah, or even Gone with the Wind in a 35 millimeter print
Oh,
on the big
yes.
screen. Looked gorgeous, and people were enthralled by it.
Yeah.
And we were enthralled.
I mean, having it that big really makes a difference. I mean, there's no substitute for that experience.
And the sound was good in Spalding.
Yeah.
And when they have the premiere showings, these are advanced screens like the
Right.
Despicable Me's and this and that. It is absolutely outstanding experience because it's back to the way you're talking.
Yeah.
The place is full. It's usually the 900, it's packed, and there's all this anticipation. It's just that energy level is so high.
Yeah.
You could almost put anything on the screen, and it
Well,
works.
we had movies Wednesdays
yeah.
and Sundays, and sometimes Fridays,
Maybe.
and often they were double features.
Yeah.
So
And
there was a
sometimes
lot
3
of-
times a day too, right? That's what the old schedules.
Twice a day.
Twice?
A day.
Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah, we
it was
did
like
show
a
it twice.
4
We
and a
did
7, maybe a 4 and a 7.
Something, yeah.
Or even
Or
Sundays used to be
4:30.
2, because I used to go to them. I remember back in the
Right.
70s,
We had
in
2
the late
sessions.
70s. and
Maybe
lots of
4:30 and 7:30. I can't really remember. But there were 2 showings of everything.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And if it was a double feature, sometimes we would Oreo it. We would have the more
Oreo.
popular one on both ends, and then the one that was more obscure in the middle, and then you could see it either way.
Right.
You didn't have to show it
But
twice.
that's the other thing. I mean, we did everything. I mean, we were the ushers and the ticket takers,
Yeah.
and
And the accountants afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, we were fully
And the projection is
whole
awesome.
process.
Either
And,
Ames
I
or Jerry
learned-
Cade or
Yeah, see,
somebody else.
that's what I see. That's what's missing is letting students do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Where now you have the Hopkins Center as this intermediary, and it's like the adults are running the show.
Right.
Oh, that's too,
And
that's
the
like
kids could do it
helicopter parenting.
really
Yeah,
well.
yeah. And it was also nice
I call
because-
the guys the kids as well.
I think
Sorry, we're all the
think-
same age, but
I think Blair was happy to let the Film Society be a loss leader, but we took it as a challenge to be a financial success.
well, it was a success, obviously, for
Yeah.
decades on end. I mean,
Yeah.
But I don't know if it made money. I mean, I think there were probably years when they were showing, you know, pre-war or World War II films or whatever Blair liked to show.
Yeah.
You might have lost money some seasons.
But see, that was
really made
yeah.
more.
The inverse of the Pence years was he made them a fortune.
Oh,
I mean, you had the Telluride at Dartmouth that went on, and all these people coming in, and it was just amazing. For about 20 years or so, it was just mind-bending. And there was a money, it was raised, the bar was raised that you got to make this
Yeah.
much, you know, and so you can't have a shoe, and that's for the classroom.
yeah. Yeah, see, that's why when I came, probably for a reunion, it was like, you know, Monty Python, and it was easy, the easy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that you're always going to get a...
Yeah. But I mean, we wanted to keep the prices low so that everybody
Right, of course.
could go.
But we wanted people to discover Bresson. We
Yeah.
wanted people to see Italian neorealism.
I mean, and we also remember we had Peter Cohen playing the piano. We
Oh, he
actually,
was brilliant.
For our,
Wow.
our silent films, we had an actual accomplished pianist, you know,
Play with the
play
sound
along
films.
with it, you know, and make up a score to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was very good. I mean, so that's an experience you're not going to get many places.
Right,
No,
right.
no. This has been a great place to land, as they say.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel so lucky.
Yeah.
We all are. So this is what's left.
It's pretty much,
It's
you know,
good. I mean,
there,
it's
there
a
might
nice
have been
solid-
a rack or two
yeah.
more, but this is kind of
A rack or two more.
exactly how it was, you know.
Well, when they 10
No,
years,
actually,
when 10 years ago when they opened up, they took
these
out
two racks,
1,700
but it
films.
was deeper, but it was, I think those two racks were on the end of it, so it was probably, there was one rack on the side.
Well, your memory's quite good. It was a little over 3,000 films,
Wow.
and there's maybe about 2,000 or less right now in here.
Yeah.
And the other ones have been.
But it's close. It's
Yeah,
close.
yeah. And then on this survey in the last 4 weeks, I found 7,000 more films around campus that are in various
Right.
holes.
But it's mainly Blair stuff, mainly the football
all
stuff?
kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. One end of the rainbow to the other.
Well, somewhere in this pile, you're going to find Barry Braverman's Law of the Subway. You're going to find my Straight Until Morning. There's other stuff that I know exists and is in the vault somewhere.
Okay. Well, we'll have to keep.
Yeah,
Back
it was
and
great.
forth. Yeah.
Well, as you discover things that might be from our era, ask us and we might know what it
Yeah.
is.
No. This was a good meeting. Matter of fact, I feel really bad. I have a funny feeling I missed my deadline. Do you have the time?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
10 to 5.
I
Okay.
gotta.
Too bad I listened to it.
I know.
Oh, I remember. Very.
I see Barry all the time. Oh God, I wrote this thing. Yeah. But John can take the blame.
And Franz von Stern. And Tom River is the assistant.
Yeah, I just tried to call him. He didn't pick up his phone. I don't know if he's here yet. Look at a huge cast of folks. Jennifer Warren will be
Oh,
there
yeah.
tomorrow.
She's not here.
Oh, she's not here.
She sent a tape.
Oh, cool. King Vitor is King Vitor.
Yes, he was here. He was very sweet. I remember.
Yeah, oh, yeah. She's madly in love.
At least they didn't put me on a nice spot.
I take it it's the golf course again.
Yeah, right, it was.
Great titles.
Look at Nora Jacobson.
She's in Norwich, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, we go over there.
You mean her mom's place up on the hill?
Yeah.
Yeah, she lives down by the river now, or she's been there for a long time.
There's me.
Yeah, there's a barn and.
Still there from the...
I'm discovered.
Or she's been there forever then.
Yeah. Antoinette lives in the barn, and Mom.
Oh, right.
I don't know if the mom's still around or not. I think she is. So some of this was shot up there, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't know if we shut up
I
there.
thought we went there, but maybe not. Not much of an actor. That was kind of appropriate expression.
It was great. That's very nice.
Yeah. Oh God, that was timeless.
And David, that's how Nora dressed all the time.
No, I didn't.
It's Cecile.
That's Cecile, yeah.
Where was this for?
It's a library. You know, and that things, they have those half books, that wall half books.
So it's not the same room where the guy was in the previous film doing the interview.
No.
It has that paneling in the background.
That's Rebecca. And Lori typecast.
Yeah, he was in the Film Society, but I can't remember.
Ray Flory?
No, that's not Ray Flory.
Oh, is that?
No.
What's that?
He's one of our Film Society guys,
Oh,
but I can't remember his name.
I'm not sure who that is. Oh, wait. Is this name Mark something?
Mark, yeah.
You haven't changed much.
Well, that's good, I guess.
Yeah. Neither of you have actually.
No,
Oh, yeah, right.
Nora looks the same.
You do actually. I'm like in shock here.
Well, that might be Mark Zeiter.
Yeah, I see. I was thinking, right, Oh, that was Brian. David, I was typecast.
Oh, there's Moshe. Robert Reason, who co-wrote this story with me, was black and gay and fell off the face of the earth after graduation. No one quite knows what's happening. No one that we know has been in touch with him.
He was great, though.
He was so funny.
Oh, and this is over the dam.
Wow, what a lens. I think Barry shot that one.
Pretty impressive.
Okay, that's Ames behind the camera. Just like in real life. No, that's Jennifer Lee Lawrence. She went on to a cabaret career in Broadway. And that's Kim Vito. David, have you met Ruger?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
He's the one who said we should get
Oh, that's
married.
right.
And we haven't seen him since.
Yeah, that's right.
You'll see him. We used to see him today.
I remember this. The Swedish natives.
This is very funny.
That's a little scary.
Gamble in.
Yes.
Isn't that where Forey used to run his silent film house? Or that's Ray Forey.
Yeah, that's it. As a minister, boy, that did not take fast.
Is that Norwich you're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Seems like a church right on the edge of town.
think it was
Yeah, I can't
on the
remember.
Vermont side, but I could be wrong.
Upper where?
On the Vermont side.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm looking at code. Oh, is that Chip?
Yeah, I think his name was Chip, wasn't it?
That's not Chip Shoemaker, is it?
I don't know.
No, he's just the butler.
Oh, here he is. Look at Dave.
I guess this was our Citizen Kane
It was.
dissolved.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't remember who that. I mean, I recognize him. I don't remember who.
His name is Chip. Well, if it's Chip Shoemaker, you'll see him tomorrow. I could be wrong. Traded places.
I remember we did many takes of that. I never got it right. I was supposed to be.
I think I'm doing about the right thing.
Was that Arthur Mayer's place where they were staying? This house?
Oh, it may be.
It's right down the road.
Yeah.
That was where Arthur and Lily stayed when they were on campus.
Oh, yeah, that's a place.
That's Peter Crystal's.
Yeah. That was the restaurant I was telling you about.
Right.
Is that not there anymore, Nora?
No, I don't think
It's
so.
long gone, but it's still a restaurant.
David asked me to do it.
Go take a look at it. It's called, well, you'll know where it is. It's
Yeah,
called
yeah.
Paloco there.
I know where it is.
It didn't move the rest of the job. Some of the great ironies are the places versus what's being acted in them.
They didn't serve anything like that.
Yeah, and we were there before hours. We were there because remember it was only open at I think for dinner.
The one place I haven't yet seen in a film is the lounge that was in the Hanover Inn, you know, the red
yeah.
leather
Yeah.
martini bar. I've not found any footage shot in there yet.
Lisa's judge. Look at the Mary. What are these doing?
Where's that?
I think it's one of the administration buildings.
That's what I felt like. Even this too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely it is. It's like with an outing program. Yeah.
The lighting is great.
Yeah.
Oh, that is fantastic!
Now, her name was Nora what?
Oh, no, that's Rebecca.
Oh, Rebecca. What's her last name?
Rebecca Chase? No, Chase was it?
No.
Arnott. Rebecca Arnott. Becky Arnott.
Becky Arnott. Becky Abbott, right,
That's
you're
it,
right.
Abbott. Okay, I'm going to get to it eventually.
Becky Abbott?
Yes.
Abbott.
Yes.
Not A-B-B-O-T though.
Yes.
Yes.
Or two T's in.
Oh,
Two
look
T's.
at that. That's beautiful. Wow.
I think this was an Ames shoe.
That's fabulous.
She was great.
Yes, she was. The composition with that light up there.
No, very nice, yeah.
I guess I shouldn't stay and just
That's good.
Oh, I know what comes next.
look better.
No, she's remembering her carefree past.
Yes. To twirl in the snow without a winter coat.
Not a cow in sight either.
Boy, you like this throwing up the
What? Loopy. Oh my God.
Do that. Oh.